And we are back once again, and for the last time, unfortunately, for tonight, because as announced earlier, we will only be seeing 3 games tonight. But before I get to that game, let me introduce back to my side the wonderful Fresh Tana. Welcome back, my boy.
Thank you, my boy. It's nice to be here. It's nice to be your boy, I guess. No, it's nice. We had a good time, I guess. A lot of two really great games. One was a
Mhm.
little bit more stompy, and one was really close until Dynasty just pulled it in and got away with it. And now we have the Rift slots against Pertinax, like the first place team against the fourth place team. And especially for PERTINAX today, that could be a huge day, because if they win against Rift, then they would cement themselves as place number 4. Otherwise, they would again just drop down to the same points
Mhm.
as Reapers Gaming.
Yes, and stay at the same position as them, although they want to get ahead. For Rift Slavs, it's also a rather important match, although it is of course not as vital as for Pertinax, because they are playing for the players, while Rift Slavs are pretty sure to be in there. But they are definitely playing this for honor and glory, for the first spot in the second division, going up against Dynasty and OMR Esports, which both have suffered 2 losses against up to now, one for Rift Slavs. Will they be able to take the lead or not? And we can see here in the standings how close it is in this battle of the top. Of course, Oman Dynasty being rank 1 for the time being, having taken those 2 wins, are tied with Rifslovs with 8 points, and we can see that PERTINAX Esports is, of course, here at the first 4th spot for now. Maybe they might cement it, or maybe they'll have to share it with Reapers Gaming. While in the bottom of the ladder, we also have some close stuff going on. Aurora, which had a good shot now at Dynasty, unfortunately unable to pull through in this match and get closer to this 4th spot battle between Reapers and PERTINAX Esports. Meanwhile, at the bottom of the ladder, we have Adverse and Once Upon a Team struggling to find their footing here in the second division. Yeah.
Can we just talk about those animations? I mean, nobody will ever create the regie for something like that, but it's amazing. Thank you for that. It just looks amazing. It just looks gorgeous, and yeah, it's really a good production value there. So thank you
Yeah.
for the guys in the background.
Guys in the background, some fancy stuff we've got here in the Rift Entertainment broadcast of the Elite Series League of Legends Second Division. Now that we're talking about the broadcast parts, we are of course not the only ones to broadcast this. And together with our friends at Once Upon a Team and Dynasty, we are currently and still for today running a charity action to help some relief funds in Turkey, which were hit by those earthquakes along Syria. And we are gathering money for ABAP, which are a Turkish charity, which do a lot of great work over there. Currently focused, of course, with helping people which were hit by those earthquakes. You may either send your money to the PayPal we've set up with them, especially for that, we will send the funds over to ABAP, or you may also directly donate to ABAP themselves if you want to help this cause. Today is the last day we are running this year. We were running it for 2 weeks. We decided, so definitely do so.
Yeah, it's good to support something like that, and if you have like a dime more than you need, then definitely consider donating. Anyway, now we are sitting in the Champions League with Rift slots against PERTINAX. Rift slots blue side, PERTINAX red side, and the first ban already came in. It's the Olaf ban, so no Viking here in the hands of PERTINAX.
Yes, and important to mention, still ahead of time, I believe PERTINAX were punished because of a late substitution. They will be losing phase 2 ban, so don't be surprised when they just let the counter get to 0. But now we still are in the first banning phase, and those bans are coming along very nicely. An Akali ban from Rift Sloths, which I feel like is more of an unusual ban here in the second division. It's not one of those classics like Olaf is, for example. And the same can be said about that Swain ban from PERTINAX, I'd say. Yone, of course, we don't want to see Bakan with those razor edges around.
Yeah, and we don't want to see Batu with the Swain again. I mean, Batu was so crazy in the game, was unkillable, got like 3 kills in the early game, and after that, the Swain was like a madman. So just banning it away from PERTINAX definitely makes sense. And there's Akali and Elise also leaving the table. Akali always a good ban against Merlin, definitely a great Akali player. And even another mid lane ban coming to Bukan with the Silas, his most played champion. We want to see it. So I'm excited. And there's Chase first pick. And Chase first pick kinda is new to me. I mean, normally there are a lot of strong junglers, for example. I mean, only Elise got banned, so we still had Maokai, Wukong, whatever, or even Saya or Varus. So a lot of really strong picks. But no, they decided to go for Jace. And Jace is still flexible, for top lane and, of course, for mid lane. And there's a Sejuani now in the hands for PERTINAX. So some engage in the jungle.
Sejuani, which for tonight at least has had a 100% pick rate as well, worth noticing. A pretty good champion. We had the first game on the top lane. Second game was picked by Aurora, was it? Yeah, by Aurora in the jungle. And now we have the Rakan for the PERTINAX bot lane for Makla.
Yeah, and it's a strong one, especially if you pair it with, for example, the Zaya. It's always a good combination, but also you can just play any other ADC and just having Rakan on the roam duty or just on the engage duty. So Rakan usually works without Zaya, of course, and there's a Maokai. So we see it again. I think Liao played him last time as well, if I remember correctly, but still Maokai, also a really, really strong champion right now. Got hit by some nerfs at least, so he is not that strong anymore, and the saplings don't deal too much damage with this smite anymore, but still, especially if you play around those choke points, if you just play around vision control and jungle control, then Maokai still is a really strong one, and kinetic again on his misfortune, like last time, I guess.
Yes. Fits really well along with Maokai. You have the CC to keep people in place, which is, of course, the optimal situation for Misfortune to get your bullet time through. On the other hand, PERTINAX do round off that bot lane beautifully by completing that couple of Rakan and Xayah on the bot lane, as you mentioned. Xayah, which we also saw last game. So, yeah, some interesting stuff going on here.
Yeah, and she is just really strong right now. I mean, there's the we pointed out already PERTINAX due to the roster lock, which was a little bit too late. They lose both bans, so no ban will come out on the last ban from them as well. But of course, with slots, we can ban out 2 champions, and they start with LeBlanc.
Yeah, and overall, this gives Rifslovs a very strong edge here. I mean, losing those 2 last bans, especially on the red side, where you have the last pick, the counter pick, that gives you a lot less wiggle room in order to finalize your strategy. So your first 3 bans need to be very decisive and very powerful.
Yeah, definitely. And normally, especially if you could basically ban out 2 bad matchups, and then, like, for example, you could ban out 2 bad top lane matchup and then just pick a top laner. So you can't really get counter picked, and you still have the counter pick in mid lane. So that's usually a good combo, or the other way around, with banning out 2 mid laners, picking a mid laner, and having the counter pick for top lane. In this case, they don't got those, and now we have like the Darius ban and the LeBlanc. So just some target bans coming out against PERTINAX. So now the question becomes, how do they want to play it? And I think, especially because Yatko is like the substitute for Dusseldrop, they might get him the last pick, just that he has a good matchup for himself, while Merling, of course, is the main mid lane player of PERTINAX, and they know that he can carry even with a blind pick like Orianna. She's really, really strong. It's one of his most played champions, so he definitely knows how to play it, and we saw it last game on Frankie, how strong Orianna Shockwave can be. So definitely a good decision, especially with the Sejuani and with the Rakan. You have plenty of engage to set up the Orianna Shockwave.
Yes, Berlin, the local magician of PERTINAX with an Orianna. On the other side, for Rivslovs, we are picking up Gwen, probably for Lexington on the top lane. We are still hesitating on that bot lane. I believe Nautilus would be terrific alongside a Misfortune. Could do a lot of damage, would be able to answer very well on the aggressiveness of Rakan Xayah also as well, or at least answer it in equal heights.
Yeah, and like the Gwen now as a blind pick, of course. I mean, they needed to show it, and they saw the Orianna, so they decided to play Chase into Orianna and then blind pick something else. And normally some melee champions, some melee engaged champions work really well against Rakan. Like you can play Braum, you can play the Thresh or the Leona, for example, but also Nautilus, just because the ultimate is so strong against Xayah, you can just press it, and she needs to use her own ultimate against it, and then you can just hook her after she lands down. So that's always a good combo against Xayah Rakan. So I really quite like it. And there's the last pick, Jax against Gwen, which is a fine matchup because of course Gwen goes for a lot of auto attack, so the Counter Strike usually works against that. But the true damage, especially with the Snip Snap, can hurt through the Counter Strike, because usually Counter Strike gives you a lot of tankiness. You survive a little bit better in AoE and stuff, but true damage is still true damage, so you will get hurt a lot by those scissors.
Yes, and I think it's a really rough match to be substituted in here against Rivslovs, because Lex is a pretty good player. He's been able to show. I mean, every player is a pretty good player, but Lex is one who's also been for quite some time with Rivslovs. We've already seen him, well, last season playing for them alongside Kinetic. So a terrific player, which you should rightfully be afraid of, and we'll see how they answer to him.
Yeah, and I think in solo queue, at least last season, it was one of his well-known top lane champions. So definitely he is on one of his favorite champions, you could say. So I'm excited to see Gwen, especially because we didn't saw her a lot in the meta right now. So just bringing some comfort to the table is always a good decision, in my opinion. And you talked about it, being substituted in such an important game could be a rough time for PERTINAX, especially because they want to win today to get away from Reapers. If they lose this match, then they will just sit with 5-5 as well as Reapers will do. So that could be an important match for them.
Yes, and I think they're still very well on the way for that, because I'm actually quite a fan of their of their lineup here. You already mentioned with that Sejuani, Rakan, Orianna has good use of her ball to get some nice shockwaves in, and I think that the damage from a Orianna alongside the Xayah damage here could come in very handy. They have some really solid team fight, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's especially like what many people forget is that Rakan not only gets the knockup, but especially with the charm, he like lets them all walk into him, so they group up a little bit more, so that the shockwave potentially hits some more people instead of just knocking them up, and maybe the shockwave is too short enough to hit one of them after that. But with the charm, because they all want to walk through to the Rakan, they have a little bit higher chance of getting hit by the Orianna Shockwave. And they know about Rakan sitting in the brush, so they could be a hook, but in most cases in a engage versus engage matchup, the support who engages first could lose the battle, so that's why we didn't saw a hook in the brush.
Yes, it's always a tense situation. Have there. See who does it. Yeah, here we can see once the snip is out, this Jax can just have his way with the counter. Next, looking for the aggression. Yeah, we have the hook on the bot lane. Root does land now the knockup. As an answer from Makla, but he's already gotten a lot of damage. It should. No, with the flash. Oh no, we flash behind it to get the first blood onto Kinetic. Kara now looking to get some return damage, but he shouldn't go too far ahead. 2v1, he doesn't have much chances.
Yeah, wonderfully played. Just getting onto the Rakan so that he is not level 2 to get the shields, to get the potential. Oh, the flashes!
Oh, yeah, we have the flash root into the hook and another root, and I don't think Kara is going to survive that. Flash already having been used as well as heal. That's a second kill going to Kinetic within 3 minutes of this game. Rivslov starting off very strong.
Yeah, and you could say they are the most dominant team in the league. Just dropping a single game and they just show us why they are so dominant, why they win so many games, just because they play so clean in the early game, just knowing when and where to gank, when and where to fight, and just getting those early kills, and especially in such a lane. Misfortune is a really snowballing champion, just because if she goes, for example, for this assassin type of armor pen build, then she just deals so much damage if she gets ahead. And we already see a lot of AD coming up. That could still be a crit misfortune. That could be a penetration misfortune. We will see later. But with those 2 kills, they definitely can snowball it, because now they will win every single trade. I mean, she has 2 long swords and a pickaxe. So that's 45 AD against just the Doran's blade. So against no stats, basically. So every single auto attack will hurt so much, every single ability will hurt so much, they can just run them down on the bot lane.
Yeah.
And that could be dangerous for PERTINAX.
And with such an aggressive support like Nautilus, you can look for the... Well, you can just look to get some damage in. Here we see that he went towards the mid lane, is going to suss out Heroes, who was looking for a gank very early on. That's some lucky timing there.
And we already see how strong of a champion even Jace is. And normally, in the early game at least, those range versus melee matchups tend to be bad for the melee champion. But of course, Jace isn't the melee champion, he is a range champion as well if he wants. So matchup isn't that bad against a range champion. And of course, against a melee champion, he has the advantage of being ranged. And versus a range champion, he is ranged as well. So he doesn't fall behind too hard, at least. He's just 1 wave behind, because he will. He's in a not that long of a lane, normally on top. Oh, yes.
Right now we have the hook on the bot lane. Makla does look to find purchase onto Kinetic, but his own AD carry is already getting a lot of damage. Here we can see just how absolutely terrifying these 3 small items this early in the game are.
Yeah, plenty of damage coming out from Kinetic. And what we could see top lane is a really interesting way of fighting for Jax, because if Quen uses the snap, he can always just try to jump out of the 2 damage. If he does it fast enough, he can out-trade her with that. But of course, if he jumps on her, then there's no jumping away from the snap. So he needs to use the jump wisely.
Yeah, and here we saw the snip how dangerous. We have in the meantime Liao, who went for the first Drake of the game, which is an infernal one.
Yeah, and there was the try from Lex to solo Bolo, just because he has Ignite, he has the ultimate, so he chased Jax down in the river. In the end, Jax survived it, didn't even need it to ghost, but that was a really dangerous position for him, just because there was plenty of burst with the ultimate, with the Ignite, and he was at, I don't know, 300 life or something, so that would be the one shot. And with that, he played it really nice and safe.
And on the other hand, on the mid lane, a very tame matchup here. Merlin being able to stay slightly ahead of the CS, but you have to give it to Bakan, who's able to just stay right behind. I mean, this difference is negligible at this point.
Yeah, and now we have a little freeze on the bot lane.
Yeah. Coming in always so strongly on the top lane. Nobody knows what he's able. Oh, up. We jump in, we use a snip. Now we can find some purchase here on sides of Janko, but with the ultimate is a lot of damage. Ridge is falling and Lex picks up the kill.
Yeah, and that was a pretty dangerous situation. I mean, fighting against ult and ignite.
Ooh, we find maybe purchase on the bot lane, a lot of damage falling onto Kinetic. Now we turn our situation around onto Batu, who's getting very low. Nicely played from PERTINAX, who are still able to find good trades here on the bot lane.
Yeah, they just know how to play it. And Rakan still is a really strong 2v2 lane, so it's no surprise that they can trade well if the enemy team just has a bad positioning. For example, they were splitted, so they could engage on one and after that on the other. And now they try to run away.
Have to be careful. Bullet time is brought out. Oh no, the root hits barely before the turret. A lot of damage falling onto Makla, but he's able to dodge with himself. They try to look to get the kill maybe, but level 6 from Kinetic and Liao being just around the corner make that a bit rougher than expected.
I mean, what a lane. I mean, they just got ganked and like 2 ultimates got used and they both survived, so Rakan just such a strong cover.
Without level 6 even, I mean, they don't even have ultis, so...
They played it insanely. I mean, they used one flash, but just one flash for such a game.
Yep.
I mean, that's really impressive by the PERTINAX bot lane, being focused so much from Lamau, but not dying there a second time was really incredible. And right now, the Sejuani doesn't really get a single gank going, which is really rough because the team needs her and she didn't provide anything right now at least.
Yes, in the meantime we have Liao just running around, showing himself top lane here, being a real threat. I mean, he's moving around quite a lot for playing a tree.
True. Maybe he is one of the trees of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
he can walk as well. He's Baumart. Who knows? And I think he does the Herald. At the moment, nobody really wants to contest it. But there could be a dive maybe on Kinetic.
Maybe a dive. He's between 2 turrets. We find purchase with the knock. Pyrrhus comes in. No, Glacier Prison barely doesn't hit, but we now have the stacks coming in. The stun will go through and we get stunned, but now Batu is there. And there between 2 turrets, and that's the return kill going to Rift Rift SLOTHS. I'm sorry. Now a second kill going down on Heroes and now on Caro as Bakan came from the mid lane. That's a 3-1 for Rift SLOTHS. Very strong.
Yeah, what a turnaround. I mean, it was... Oh, there comes a gank, there comes a dive.
We have the dive with the Herald. Jatko taking a lot of damage, but gets a stun out on Lex. Liao is forced to flash out, but it is another kill going to the Rift SLOTHS and some pocket money coming in from that Rift Herald.
Yeah. Really well played by Rift SLOTHS at the moment. They are punishing some misplay. Oh, Bakan maybe could get the...
Oh, nice shockwave. Barely hit with flash. Jump into it. It's not enough. Now Merlin might get the kill. Very close situation here. Ooh, the wave coming just in time to take that hook from Batu.
Bakan tried it and almost got it, but in the end it wasn't enough damage from him. And then really clean flash by Merlin. If he doesn't flash there, he is dead just because of damage. But he flashed the damage, so he survived the situation and yeah, was really clean by both mid laners there. But just to talk about this bot lane dive, I mean, nobody was near Rakan. They still tried to tower dive it, and then even flash ultimate from Sejuani wasn't enough to get to it. That was really a rough dive. Yeah, they overforced it, and then a really well-timed roam by Khan really saved the bot lane there.
Yes, definitely came just in time to turn the situation around in their favor. And using only the supports in such a situation is really great for your team. And now we grab a second Drake even on sides of Rift Slopes, which is going to be a Cloud Drake. And this will reveal afterwards which soul both teams will be competing for.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see what the map will become. We will see it in any second. It's the Mountain Drake, the Mountains Rise. So we have some more like walls and stuff. So nothing too special, but a really strong soul, essentially, because of the more tank stats, because of the shield if someone gets the soul, and yeah. I quite like the soul. It's not flashy. Nothing really happens. You just get a shield, but it's really strong.
Nothing weird happens, you just get a shield is my favorite sentence from today.
But it's not flashy. Like there's no explosion. There's no like chain blitz. There's no like regeneration where you can see something. Or I don't know. It's just you sometimes you have a shield, sometimes you don't get a shield. So it's not that flashy, you know.
Yeah, no, truly. It's very discreet. For it being called Mountain Drake, it is oddly discreet. It's kind of ironic almost.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'd call him usually the Earth Drake. I mean, Earth Drake just sounds powerful, but Mountain Drake, I mean, wow, it comes from the mountains. Like, is he a dwarf or something? I don't know. It's ridiculous. And then he just gets a shield. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's a mountainous shield. Shield from the mountains. Like mountain goats have. And now we have the small one of the top lane heroes coming in, but so does Liao, and the situation is quickly diffused. With the ulti still up, is looking for the needle to hit. Datko is able to dodge it, but with the turret so low, they're going to be able to simply clear it, especially with that Maokai ultimate, which just clears the way of the lane, unless you want to get rooted and die a horrible death.
Yeah, and it's 5k gold already after 14 minutes.
Oh, here we have the shockwave hitting on Bakan, and the res of PERTINAX is there. That's the kill going to heroes. Man, Merlin with a nice shockwave here. Perfect timing. And Markula just perfect timing on his room as well.
Yeah, the only downside of this play was that Sejuani gets the kill. I mean, if Merlin would have gotten it, then it would be at least a pinch better. But with that, it's still fine. You get some resources for your own, you get back into the game, but it might be not enough to win it, at least for now. But still, they try to fight, they try to get their claws back into it. I don't know if Rams have claws, but no, they haven't. But I mean, they try to get the claws into the sloths, and
Trying to hoof
yeah,
their way back in.
yeah. I mean, in the reworld, the Ram would probably win against the Sloth. I mean,
True.
Is there any matchup for the Sloth where the Sloth would win in the reworld?
Is the sloth the predator of anything?
Yeah, maybe from small bugs or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe. You know? But at least in League, they look pretty dominant, like a hunter.
Yes,
Know
most
exactly how to
definitely.
kill.
I researched quickly, is a sloth a predator? The only thing you find in relation is them being a prey and hunted by predators, so
Yeah.
feels bad, man.
but the question becomes: is a ram a hunter? And I don't think so. So it's fine.
No.
Prey against prey. So nothing too bad.
Oh, nice hook coming in from Batu here. No follow-up as Rez is there, but PERTINAX tries to go in, but Rez of Rift Sloth is right behind him. We get a double kill for Bakan. Now they're forced to push back. Kara using Flash, Hail, and his ultimate in order to survive the situation.
Yeah, and what an engagement. And the sad part about that was that PERTINAX tried to engage from their own, but they didn't have the information about Maokai, and I think it was Lex being in the shadows, so they just engaged 5v3 in hopes of winning a teamfight, but then especially this flank, and then of course the burst of Bukan really break their necks in this team fight, and then they had no damage to chase down Kinetic, and then they just lost the team fight. And it's really impressive to see that PERTINAX tries their hardest but can't get anything in return.
Yes, no, most definitely. They're already pretty far behind this game. We have a 7k gold lead, 2 Drakes in favor of Rift Sloths, and all PERTINAX can do is kind of huddle back, get together, try to find a catch here and there, and it's really rough, but they did manage it already. It's not impossible. They just need to find the right possibility. The slightest slip up of Rift can work wonders in favor of PERTINAX here.
Yeah, there are some shutdowns to collect, and they have like the objective bounties as well. And
You can see a Jatko
Jatko
against Lex already going on really well, but now with the ultimate gets a lot of damage inside of him. He's forced to retreat back. Herald now being set on the mid lane, with tier 2 being taken down as we are talking, and we'll get this charge on the inhib turret.
The Herald is relentless. Just smashes down those turrets, and now with the botline wave you could go for this tier 2 turret, and after that even rotate to the dragon. So there are a lot to get here for Rift Slots, and what a teleport there from Jatko, just going to the top lane, and he will get this top lane turret. So some objective bounty will go to PERTINAX, at least something. But still they will lose the dragon, and with that the soul point.
I was gonna say, Rift Sloths are playing this really clean. They're not leaving any room for PERTINAX to breathe, but they're still able to find that room, get some money on that top lane, getting some farm from the enemy jungle as well. Any money they can get their hands on at this point is worth it, and they're still able to get that.
Yeah, those little cross map plays are really something, because I mean they could just concede the trade, could just sit in the base and do nothing, but no, they know, okay, they will send like four people to the bot lane, and then for the Drake, and probably someone will defend the tier 2 turret, so nobody will be in the jungle, so we can just invade it and stuff. So they know how to do those cross map plays, and maybe the sapling will get thrown in. Yeah, that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they could have maybe got him in.
And I was gonna say, I really like what they did there. On top of getting that money, they knew Rift Sloths were on the bot side doing that Drake, so decided to get ahead. We have Baron in 1 minute when they started taking that vision around it, and they now were able to prepare a small trap. Didn't work, unfortunately, but the will was there, and where there is a will, there is a way, as I like to say it. So there is a way for PERTINAX to get back in. They just need to find the right stuff, and they're definitely doing everything they can to find it.
Yeah, and what I really like about PERTINAX right now is that they still farm. Like at the moment, Kuro even is ahead in farm, mid lane is ahead in farm. So even though they get starved a little bit and lose some of those team fights, they still just try to get back into the game they still keep up the farm, and especially I mean both ADCs done it, but they both just have the perfect farm, or usually people refer to the perfect farm if you got 10 CS per minute, so minute 20 means 200 CS. Both have it. Hero even a little bit higher than 10 CS per minute. So he really tries it, and maybe with the 2 item power spikes he has something, but that could be a steal.
Yeah, we have the steal trying to be done by Heroes. Unfortunately, does get it, but we have some purchase there. First kill falling is Merlin, and now followed up by Heroes, who was in the middle of the pit. We try to find some kills here on sides of PERTINAX. Do get quite some damage out, but Bukan is just unstoppable with this double kill, triple kill, quadra kill. Going in for the Rift Sloths. Bukan. What a beast.
Yeah, and it was the first pick chase, so he just delivers. He first picks it, he has no hesitation, no fear, he will just carry his team with this chase pickup, and in the end PERTINAX did their best to somehow might win in this game, and They might even get a second chance. So Rift doesn't go for the finish there. So I already want to call GG, but no, PERTINAX gets another round.
Yes, they get some respite now as Riftsloths are backing. The opportunity to push back the waves. Gets back some money. Try to find one last stand against the Riftsloths. 10k difference. And 3 dragons ahead. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah. And I mean, Soul is spawning. Probably Rift will wait for the Soul. I mean, they could try to force something before that, but if they want to play it like really, really clean, then they will just wait for Soul. And with Soul, like those team fights probably aren't even losable anymore. They are just too tanky. They have just too many shields. And oh, Kiro could get. No, but they can't. It's not worth it to overchase there. I mean, Janko is on the Jutko is on the sideline, so he might get a tier 2 turret in trade of an inhib, which would be fine. I mean, team fights you can't win anyway, so why not go for the split push?
Yes, definitely. But find good moment. Maybe he might back, we might get the kills. We now have a second inhibitor. We get some money because of that objective bounty. Now we back with Dare to help the team, but is it early enough? As Riftsloths start looking for the engage and start damaging that second turret. We are there in time. We have nice shockwave coming in from Merlin, our local magician. Lex is shut down by PERTINAX as they do their last stand. Second kill falling onto Batu. Is this it? Are they able to come back from this? They get a kill on Kinetic. They're now 4 versus 2. They get the kill on Liao, and now Bukan 1v4. Is he going to be able to do it? No! It's the ace from PERTINAX.
Merlin is just really a mage. I mean, where did he find this rabbit? I don't know. He didn't even have a head. I mean that was amazing. Just finding the clutch shockwave into an almost clean ace. They just lost the support. I mean, 10k behind and they still won a team fight. It's so crazy, and the team fight didn't even start at that rate because Kiro still wasn't able to auto-attack in the first few seconds. So he was standing a little bit too far behind, but it was enough, and especially Yatko. I mean, this man was on a mission, just getting the turret, being base, getting the stun, having so much damage. It's so amazing, and that's the reason why you never should surrender. I mean, they really farm well enough to still have some items. And yeah, maybe every single member of Riftsloths has 1.5 item or maybe a half item more than you. But a half item is just a half item. I mean, you have 2 item power spikes on Merlin, on Hero, on Jutko, so there is not the biggest anymore. I mean, if you just think about that, 5k gold means that every single member of Rift have just 1k more, and 1k more is a little item. I mean, you can still win those teamfights, but now here is the siege and maybe the last chance for PERTINAX.
Yeah, we started off with a bullet time in order to push the enemies to the side. We can get some damage on that turret. We find the engage here. Khan in the middle of PERTINAX is able to do some damage, but he gets CC'd and dies here. Now Hero starting to get very low. This is again looking very good for PERTINAX as they get a double kill here coming from Cairo. And another ace for PERTINAX. Riftsloths might be a bit too fast to try to finish this, as a second ace is gonna put them back in their place for now.
Did I said rapid last time? I mean, this was a rapid. They didn't even lost the single member. Last time they lost the Raka. Now they just did a clean ace. Just a clean ace. They start to win those team fights really, really cleanly. And I don't know if you saw it, Bukan really tried the hardest to kill, to get the kill on Kiro, but then there was just a full cover on him. They couldn't get Kiro, and then with this two item force, like especially the quick blades are so strong on the Sire, and he never stopped farming. He has more than a perfect farm now. Even those bounties coming in, and you can see it under the minimap. There are no bounties anymore, so even the game says, yeah, you are not behind anymore. And if you just look at the gold, after 2 full aces, the gold is even. I mean, just imagine that. They come back from 10k gold. It's so crazy. Merlin is definitely like the biggest mage in history.
I mean, definitely living up to his name. And I was gonna say after that first team fight, I'm just gonna embed it now even more. If Merlin is living up to his name, then Jatko is definitely Arthur in this fable. Uh, doing the Lord's work literally in this game by taking the money where he could, by pushing, and just being such a strong asset for PERTINAX right now.
Yeah, they might lose the Baron here. And I mean, then it's not over for PERTINAX. I mean, they still need to defend the Baron. And I mean, there are ways to just sneak the win right now because of the open nexus. I mean, if Lex just gets a couple of seconds, he might.
We are looking for the catch. They're being very aggressive now. They find purchase on the mid lane. Doesn't quite work too well with Liao. Now we have to retreat. Not overstaying here. But damn, PERTINAX now definitely gotten some biting back.
Yeah, and one of the best things about this team fight is that you can't just lost his flash. And I think Batu maybe even lost his flash as well. So you are now flashless on a very important carry. So maybe you can just snack him out and then win the team fight. And I mean, now the gold lead rises up again. But there's still a chance for PERTINAX. They can definitely win this game. I mean, I never would have seen that going, but they did really great. And now this man on the top lane, we talked about him, he's the substitute for Dazzledrop.
Yeah.
So he just comes in here, lost his lane against Lex, got boloed in minute 5 or something, and now sits there with a 600 gold shutdown, is the carry of the match together with Merlin, with Cairo, and he could very well, in a good moment, just one-shot the backline and being unkillable. Because if you just look at the items, he builds really tanky. I mean, he has some magic resistance with Rift's End, he has now some armor, and then later, of course, the ability to just proc Zonias to survive a little bit longer. So Jatko could be the deciding factor as substitute in this match.
Yes, he definitely is the boy of the prophecy in this game. As SLOTHS decided to halt their push, they realized that this wasn't quite working, decided to come back to small lead, they had gathered back up, cash it in for some items as Drake is now spawning, and with Soul they might re-attack anew, but you can see that the situation is very tense. I mean, each team here is one team fight away from letting the win slip from their hands. If PERTINAX loses this team fight, Rift might very well or the next team fight in general might very well be able to finish the game. So they have better time to just focus back on defending. Meanwhile, if Rift loses another team fight, who knows what's gonna happen for PERTINAX? I mean, they'd get the lead in terms of gold, they'd really get ahead and even more dangerous.
And they let the Drake drop, and yeah, it's really hard to get into the Drake pit versus those saplings. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Maokai was so broken in this meta, just because you can't get into the jungle. So every single of those saplings will just kill you in a few seconds. So they couldn't just approach it. And then, of course, especially with this team comp, you can't not run into one of those choke points. Kinetic with 3 to 4 items will just crush your whole team. Then, of course, the ultimate of Maokai, so you will all get rooted, you will all get knocked up from Nautilus ultimate if he just presses on someone who is in the back line. And then even Lex deals so much AoE damage with the needle. So this little choke point there in front of the dragon is just death if PERTINAX would have fought there. So they realized that, they didn't fight, and now, okay, they need to play against Soul, but like I said, it's just a shield. They are just a little bit more tanky. If you play clean, you can still win against the shield. So it's nothing fancy. And I mean, they have damage plan. They have so much damage with just Jax. I mean, he just needs one more auto attack or something, and then of course with the quick plays from Q, he makes the shields done in no time. So that shouldn't be the biggest problem. He has already the armor pen, so he gets through the shields, through the armor. That shouldn't be a big problem.
So the situation is getting very tense. Both teams just huddling together, getting some gold, trying to get their next big item. And they're right now really just stretching it. And Rift comes in with a wave, and PERTINAX can just clear it so fast with Merlin's damage, notably. But
This game,
Pyros.
it's so intense. Meadows, it's so intense. I don't know what to say. Oh, I love those games, but I hate those games. But I love them. It's so amazing, and you can't imagine how it is to be as a player in this situation. I mean, you always have a mind, especially as an ADC, for example, or even Merlin as Doriana. If you just step one time a little bit too much forward, and you get caught, the game is over. So you have so much pressure on your back right now. It's so intense for every single player here. I mean, this hook, if it lands, maybe there's a team fight, maybe you lose it. So Rakan, it was close, man. It was close, and it feels so bad to be a player right now, just because every single mistake can lead to the lose. And oh man,
And especially in the case of PERTINAX, Merlin, if his shockwave is off by a single second or something like that, the situation can get very different very quickly. A lot of riding on his timing there.
Yeah, and
You can just feel the tension.
man, and I mean, if Jatko would win the matchup right now, I think we would see it. So he plays really far behind in this 1v1. So he still thinks that he can't beat Gwen in the 1v1. Because otherwise we would just see him running straight at her.
But something he can do is interrupt the TP.
Yeah, but the Baron, and they know it. They know it. They can't just walk through the saplings. They can't just walk through Misfortune and Maoka ultimate. And I mean, they really need to wait for overstepment of Rift. Like the last times where they won the team fight and the last times where they aced them was when Rift did like a bad engage, where they think, yeah, we have it anyway, just engage them under the turrets. Like that happens 2 times. Now they have no turrets left, and Rift knows, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that anymore. So, but you see how really concentrated PERTINAX plays it, and in my opinion, we will not see a fight until Elder Drake spawns. So there will nothing happen in this minute, but especially the next 20 seconds, 30 seconds are so important. Have you enough vision? Have you gotten maybe a catch? And can you maybe have a good situation to contest the Drake? Because last time when Soul spawned, they just there was no position for them to contest it because they can't fight in the choke point. So for this Elder Drake, they really need to set it up. They really need to get vision control from the mid lane. So they just group mid lane and just try to get as 4 people into the river to get condition. And yeah, there you can see the matchup is horrible for Jax. He can't win it. Yeah, that's why he played it so defensive.
So much damage, forcing him to back while Lex now is taking inhib. This is gonna get them some pressure as they're now mounting up for that Elder Drake. Ooh, and here we can see those saplings. Such little saplings, still doing so much damage, relatively. Now the top lane 1v1 again. Here we can see Jatko getting kind of the upper hand. We can see just the true damage being dished out by Lex, who can now either push or join his team, but it's not necessary as they're finishing it. We have the Elder Drake in hands of the SLOTHS, and now they're just gonna finish that stomp with that execution coming in. And now Lex, in all ease of mind, finishing this game. This SLOTHS is still able to take the win, but what a game, ladies and gentlemen. What a game, and look at that, 72k gold on one side. 409 CS on that Xayah. Holy.
Yeah, and you know the old, how's it called? The old sentence, which is always told in the Magic community: "There's only room for 2 rabbits." I mean, it's just a head. You can't just put so many rabbits in. So he could pull it once, he could pull it twice, but head was empty. Yeah, there was no chance. And especially like in the last couple of minutes, you could see how they just got outscaled. I mean, the top lane was horrible, so he couldn't even win against ultless Quen, and that's why we saw on the minimap that he always was like 20 meter away from Quen because he knew he will lose it, and in this case we saw the 1v1 and he just straight up lost it, sadly, for Jutgo because he played an amazing game. And then especially like in the last minute, I think it was the ADC Xayah just face checked Bukan. He was really off position. I don't know why he wasn't with the team, but I mean it didn't really change. But there they lost like one of the win conditions, and then it's just Merlin against the world, and against Elder Drake they needed to steal it. They didn't done it, and even though even if you imagine a team fight where they win there and maybe even get the Elder Drake there, they still would have lost because of flags. He would just have finished the game in no time, because and that's really the big problem with split pushers, the big problem with the pressure on the side lane. If you have no one who can defend him, he will crush your base. And so it was a lose-lose situation for PERTINAX. They tried the hardest, and in the end it wasn't enough. But oh man, we really need to thank Merlin for such a wonderful game.
Yeah.
And the whole PERTINAX squad, holy shit, to come back 2 times after 10k gold. What an amazing performance by them. And they really showed that Rift Slots is beatable. But maybe with a better early game, they could have done it. But it was really such a banger game in the end. Well played by both teams.
Yes, absolutely. And this concludes today's games and gives us this week's final standings as we can look over them. Rift Sloths by finally, albeit all of those efforts from PERTINAX to ram back at them, are able to distinguish themselves, keep their first spot with 9 points, while Aoma and Dynasty trail just behind with 8 points. Now PERTINAX is still able to share their 4th spot with Reapers, unable, unfortunately, after such a great display of skill, to distinguish themselves from Reapers, which are sharing the 4th spot with them, as we can see here. Now, just behind them, we have Aurora, which is just 2 points behind them, and showed us today as well that they are able to do some great stuff against Dynasty. And now at the bottom we still have Adverse and Once Upon a Team, which will have a lot of work to do if they do not want to be in that bottom 2 playing relegation against the winners of the different amateur circuits. Because yes, we are heading towards the end of this spring split, which means that what's up next? Well, what's up next is to play relegation and then the summer split, but we'll have some things shaken up in terms of the teams competing, and we can maybe show the graphic presenting to you how this is built up. So we have 3 different amateur open circuits where the top 8 will be playing some playoffs in order to get a chance at playing promotion for Div 2. The bottom 2 teams of Div 2 will be playing against the top 2 amateur teams, and the winners of this promotion round are going to be qualified for the 2nd division summer split here at the Elite Series League of Legends. Now, it was wonderful casting with you, Frashtana, today, and I hope we'll continue on having such great games, because today was loaded with some great games, and it's always loaded with great games here at the Elite Series League of Legends 2nd Division.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something you can say. I didn't have a single match day where I thought, oh, this matchup is so boring, I don't want to cast it, because all those teams are lovely, the players are really good, and like those especially those stories where, like, PERTINAX, for example, now having this rise, and Reapers having this little downfall, and just the other team, two teams, Aoma and Dynasty, just knocking on the door of first place. So many really important matches with those 8 teams, and so every single day is a pleasure for me. Every single day where I can cast with you, with QG, or with Daniel is just amazing. So shout outs to all of them, and of course to the Rishi, who had a wonderful work today to show you all of that, and of course the new animations for the standings, which are gorgeous. So thank you for having me here, and it will be nice to sit here again when I'll be here to again. I don't know if I cast next Wednesday or next Friday, but we will see anyway. Was an honor to be here with you. Thank you for everything.
Yes, thank you for accompanying us. And well, this concludes tonight's stream. And along the conclusion of tonight's stream, we conclude this week. And along the conclusion of this week's matches, we conclude this 2-week charity action, which we held together with our good friends at Once Upon a Team and Dynasty to gather some money to give to ABAP, a Turkish charity organization, which is currently helping people find some help who were hit by the earthquakes which hit Turkey and Syria. You may donate to them either directly using the right QR code, or you can go through the PayPal account we've set up together with our friends if you want to give them some money. To do it over this stream is the last time you may do so. This sentence was horrible, but you can of course always donate to them or anything, because giving is good and sharing is caring. Now, without any further ado, my dear friends and viewers and ladies and gentlemen, I would say we'll leave it at that, and we'll see you guys next week on Wednesday for the continuation of the Elite Series League of Legends 2nd Division, Week 7. See you soon.